Welcome back. I'm Chris.
And I'm Chris.
And today we are working on the red convertible again for the first time. And well, I mean, pretty much since I took it apart when it got wrecked. Happy New Year. So for 2026, one of the many things we're going to try to do, we're going to try to get the red convertible back on the road. Hopefully. We are going to try our best to here at home without going to a frame shop, pull everything out of this, straighten this thing out and get it back streetable. The last time you saw the car, took the fenders and the nose off. We got to this point, but I have not gotten to touch it since. One thing we're going to do today, we were initially going to try to cut all this off with a Sawzall. I think instead we're going to wrap a chain around this and use our Dodge Durango pawl to try to pull this out and see how that goes. This is our 4x4 Dodge Durango pawl. We're going to hook a chain around its tow hitch and try to straighten the car out. What a majestic machine. Not sure when you're ever going to see this. Could be January, February, March, April, May. Hopefully at some point in 2026. Got it all hooked up. I'm not overly optimistic about this, but we're going to see what we can do in 4 low and just kind of hope for the best. There we go.
Car's moving, stop.
We now have the rear wheels blocked and the front wheels blocked. And we set the parking brake, which I forgot to do earlier. So let's see if this goes any better.
Stop.
Ready?
Yeah, the whole car started going again.
So that did very little. It did move a tiny little bit. It was easier to get the chain off than it was to get it on. This did move up, I don't know, an inch, something like that. We're going to move it over, try to pull in the center just a little bit more. When that doesn't work, I think I'm going to try to hook underneath it on the bottom of the radiator support and try to pull it also. But looks like ultimately we're going to have to cut this thing off just to get anywhere.
Yep. Yeah.
Alright, we move the chains a little bit. We're going to try to pull both sides evenly now. See if that'll straighten it up a little more. My optimism for this project has taken a little bit of a hit. When we were looking at all this, we really thought all the damage was from this point forward. We just noticed this. Just noticed that this is buckled all the way back here. However, as long as the suspension geometry is intact, we can still fix that. But that means the sway bar mount is pushed back a little. It's probably close to an inch. Good news is we don't see anything behind the suspension. So we're still a little bit optimistic, but it is fading a little. I don't see any damage under here really. But it's not as contained to the front as I thought it was. It is about 10 or 12 inches further back than initially thought.
No.
That did absolutely nothing. We're going to go back to pulling it in the middle, see if we can pull it out the middle and to kind of work our way over to the edge. Doesn't look like much, but this was back over here, and now it's pulled forward enough, it's clearing the tire. So we're going to pull it again from the middle, and we'll come back over here, and we're just going to work side to side, see if we can get this to pull out a little more.
Ready?
Do anything?
No.
So we pulled the car about, the tires are almost in the garage. Pulled the car probably 6 to 8 feet. We only actually pulled the part we wanted 2 or 3 inches. It's not good. I think we're going to move on. We're going to try to remove this foam, see if we can reach this to unbolt this main support up front, and then we're going to take the radiator out and we're going to go from there.
You're right, it's a very good video.
Shut up. You can see that we have changed tack. We are going to try to cut this thing off in pieces so we can try to straighten the radiator frame or the radiator support by itself. We also have to change blades. We might have had a wood bit on this thing and wasn't exactly getting the job done. Or this is made of hardier stock than we thought, because it is a dulling our metal blade also. This is not going well. And our cutoff wheel is dead, so not sure what we're going to do. The bar is bending.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Junior's going to cut out the other side of the impact foam, see if we can unbolt this side, and if we take this off, we're hoping we can leverage it to be able to get this off, because we can't get to that bolt. Go ahead, buddy. Not sure what we're going to do. We can't get a wrench on either one of these bolts. You can see them, but they're angled up and down. They're angled at extremes. We're able to get a wrench on this one, not on this one. So 3/4 of our support bolts are bent to the point we can't get a wrench on them. And we can't bend this thing to straighten it out. And our cutoff wheel is dead. And our Sawzall blade is not liking this stuff. We are having a bad time all around. Finally got these things broken loose, and we're able to get hand wrenches in here and just take them out quarter turn at a time. It's going to take all day, but I think we can finally get this thing off of here. Well, we got one side off, and we're able to use that to leverage to be able to bend things on the other side a little bit, so maybe we can reach those bolts. It looks like that bottom bolt straightened out quite a bit. Can you reach it with a wrench now? Yeah, that's straight. Use the long one. Use the long socket, and we ought to be good to go. Huzzah! We are victorious. We got that off. You know what? We don't need that, buddy. That's just extra weight. Slows us down to the quarter mile, right? Yeah. Definitely wasn't for safety or anything. Nothing important. Finally get our first look at the actual radiator support here. Is that ABS? I think that's the anti-lock brake system right there. I'm not sure, but probably going to have to cut this radiator support out. We're definitely going to have to pull the radiator. It's a lot more damage than I initially thought. So that's going to have to go and be replaced. If we pull the radiator, drain the fluid, we may be able to straighten this out with the truck a little. Oh, gal fired right to life. Sounds pretty good with the dumps. All of this today took about 10 times longer than we anticipated, as usual. So we're out of time today. I have to go get dressed, get to work. We backed it back into its parking spot and going to cover it back up. I think we're going to come out here tomorrow, pull the radiator, drain the coolant, see if we can clear some of this accessory stuff, and maybe try to pull the radiator support out a little bit with the truck now that that bumper is gone. It's the next morning. We're going to jack this thing up, get a 5-gallon bucket under the radiator, drain the transmission cooler lines, and start taking all the accessories off the front of this thing so we can see the bare frame easier. Well, we're off to a great start. Started by draining the overflow tank, and this is actual mud and dirt. God only knows what's actually going through this engine. I don't think we changed the antifreeze in all the stuff that we've done to this car so far. It looked green, so we didn't mess with it, but things are not clean in here. We got the rest of the coolant out, and it was not much better. Filthy all around. We're gonna have to flush this whole thing before we put it back together. Junior's taking off the cooling fan. We're gonna pull the radiator, get the transmission lines off, get the front of this engine apart. Or the cooling system, at least. This car is so virgin, still had the air silencer in the fender. Junior's taking the transmission lines off so we can get the radiator out. Just like the damage under here to the strut tower. You can see it up here where it has caused separation here. So this entire frame rail is kicked up and back along with the radiator support. So maybe we can just use a vehicle to pull this the rest of the way out. Maybe not. We may have to cut it from the strut towers forward. I have not priced that for this car. I know there's some cheap kits available for 79 and 93s. I don't know about the 94 and 95s. We got all the lines off. We got everything freed up. The radiator's still stuck. It is kind of sandwiched between our ABS module and the bent frame. Radiator's trashed anyway. It's all curved and bent and jacked. So we're just going to pry it and break it and pull it out in pieces if we have to. Fortunately, we had some fuel rail disconnectors to get these air conditioner condenser lines off. Now we're going to pull a couple of bolts, get this AC condenser out. There's our ruined smog pump. Not that I was doing anything anyway, but the cross member came back and snapped it off the engine, snapped off that entire bracket. Now we need to try to figure out how to get this ABS system off so we can start the process of removing the front clip. We finally have our ABS module out of here. It's 4 10mm bolts, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the front inside the engine bay. Then you have to loosen the brake line connectors, pry them loose, take off the 1 bolt for the ground strap right here, and then just gently move it out of the way. And now we'll be able to get a chain around this so we can pull on this without damaging the brakes.
Yeah, pulled it pretty good. Oh, I think you're pulling it too far.
So we managed to pull the radiator support further out. It is better than it was. Didn't really help this part though. It didn't actually help the frame rail that's bent. I don't know what we're gonna do about that. I don't know if we're gonna be able to do anything. We're trying to get it to a position where we can just put a new radiator support on it now, but I'm not sure that's gonna happen. Basically out of time for today. I have to go to the work here in a little bit, and I'm at work the next few days. I'll have a morning off. In 3 days, we're gonna come back. We're gonna try to get a new cutoff wheel, cut off the entire radiator support, maybe disconnect this apron here, see if we can find a way to straighten that rail down there, the frame rail. If we can do that, then we'd be able to start rebuilding this thing. It's not perfect, but the hood is laying down flatter than it was. So it's definitely straighter than it was. Huzzah, the boy.
Huzzah.
It's a few days later. We're going to come out here, take off the hood prop, find another way to prop up the hood, and we're going to start trying to cut the radiator support off of this thing. Try to get down under here, try to get through all this mess, try to straighten that frame rail somehow. Wow. I never actually realized how insane the wiring is in this car. There's hardly any disconnectors. The wiring harnesses run from one side to the other, through the openings in the firewall and the fender, with no disconnectors. This is going to be a nightmare just to get all this wiring off of the radiator support, just so we can cut this thing. This is so stupid. We finally got most of the wiring harness and most of the stuff off this radiator support. Junior's taking the last couple of things off, getting things out of the way so we can start cutting. As we get ready to cut the radiator support off, we're finding just little things we never noticed before, like they were kind enough to run the hood latch through a hole in the middle of this frame here. So you got to disassemble it to get it out. That was nice of them. And they run the power steering cooler through the middle of the hole through the frame. I mean, they just disconnect, but if you do that, you're going to dump power steering fluid everywhere. It's just kind of bothersome. Took half an hour to get the transmission or the power steering cooler lines off. One of them had to be cut off. They were so dry rotted on there. The other one started cracking as soon as we started prying on it. So clearly we'll need new power steering lines. But it is finally off and draining. Junior's going to start cutting the radiator support off. Support of the radiator support's gone. Time to cut off the bottom. Now that the main cross support is off, we're going to start trying to peel this off one layer at a time. Our goal is to get to this main frame rail or unibody rail. So we're going to start drilling out all these little welds that hold this together. I tried to come in here, I tried to pry it all apart. Their welds are too strong, so we're going to try drilling them out. Yep. So many welds just for one little piece. So many welds to drill out of here. We're just trying to take this thing layer at a time, peel it like an onion, and it is taking forever. There are just dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of welds holding every little piece on for no reason. If you ever think you're an inefficient welder and don't know what you're doing, take a close look at an 80s Ford product and you'll realize you were qualified to work for Ford in the 80s. Holy hell, all of that just to get that one little bracket off. This is taking forever. This is taking 10 times longer than it should. We're finally starting to get a little separation up here. All of this is scrap anyway. We're just going to try to peel all this off of this rail here so we can try to straighten it. I have changed tack. We are now just going to start peeling this off and working that forward. All this is going to be scrap anyway, so all we're trying to save is this piece down here, the rail. So all this, we're just going to pop the welds, peel it, and rip it all off, start cutting and hacking and slashing. Several welds off now. All right. That's good. We've got the majority of this apron out now. You can see this is the damage, the worst part of the damage. We're going to try to free all of this up, and maybe we can straighten that piece out and start welding back on it eventually. We've got these two apart. We've got this top piece up here. This top rail separate from this one. Still got a bunch of crap hanging on this bottom rail, but we're gonna clear that off. Probably not today, we're almost out of time, but I think we'll be able to pull this straight once this is all free and once we get it all separated. We're calling that a day. We're out of time today. Hopefully next time we come out here, we'll be able to finish cutting this piece off, start the straightening process. The hardest part of this, I think, is going to be able to getting this side of the radiator support off without damaging anything, because there's no body damage over here. We got to find a way to disconnect that radiator support, which we were having trouble with, obviously. Anyway, that's a future Kris problem. We are back. It's, I think, 4 days later. I'm gonna try to get working on this. I was gonna hook up the truck to this and try to pull it. I think I'm gonna try a hammer first just to see if that does anything. Try a sledgehammer, see if I can bend that a little bit before we cut on it anymore. We tried the hammer, it didn't work. We tried sticking a big pry bar in the end of this, it didn't work. I think now what we're gonna do is try to get inside this frame rail since it's blocked off right in here. We're gonna just go ahead and cut down the end of this because it looks like the radiator support, technically that frame rail ends right here and all of this is tacked on. So we're just gonna cut right here and try to expose this rail, see if we can straighten it that way. so much grinding and hammering that we couldn't show you because it took both of us, but we finally have the biggest mangled piece off, and we've got our frame rail, which is pretty mangled. But I might be able to get a pry bar in here now and maybe start straightening it. Not a lot shows up on camera, but that is pretty damn straight, or straight compared to what it needs to be. It's still angled up. We still got to try to figure out a way to hammer it down, but that's pretty well in line with where we need it. Ready? Go. Keep going.
I bottomed it out.
We're professional body men. We are our own frame shop. Huzzah! Look at the after effects of this. Look at that. It's a frame rail again, or unibody rail, or whatever. I don't care. Shut up. What did you just say?
We have more torque than a 4x4 Dodge Durango.
We are stronger than a 4x4 Dodge Durango.
Yep.
Boom. Boom. Show them, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, flex it.
We're better.
All right. So it's not quite perfect without pulling the engine. We don't have any way to really pry on that and get that straightened out or anything, but it's a lot better than it was. It looks almost like a direct match for this over here. This kind of throws off the curve, but if you focus on the actual rail itself, it looks very good. You can kind of see how far we scooted this over, hammering it, because of where the bushing was on the sway bar. We've got this one little straggler that has really given us crap. Finally got these bottom welds drilled out and popped off. We're having to be very careful. We can't really pry on this without bending the entire upper support, because there's nothing holding it together anymore. But we're going to keep prying and cranking on this and see if we can get it off. We have had enough of hammering on this thing and asking nicely. Go ahead, boy. Victorious, huzzah!
Huzzah!
We have accomplished quite a bit today. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to know how straight any of this stuff is until we have a new apron and a new radiator support, and we start mocking that stuff up. We'll have to make some micro adjustments before we put it all together. This is going to take some hammer and dolly type work. I'm going to support this underneath, hammer it, bend it, try to shape it to match whatever apron we get. But this is great work for today. This is awesome. We now have two independent pieces. Well, this is going to be the worst part of the job. This is intact and in good shape. If we buy a brand new one of these, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pull all this apart and take it apart and try to do it correctly. But if we buy a used one, I'm going to just hack the used one off here and just weld that in so we don't have to mess with all this. But that's going to be a future Kris problem, because that isn't going to get done right now. That is not the priority for now, since we don't even have an apron. That is probably it for a while. We've got some other things to do. We've got to work on my daughter's car coming up. Oh, God. My other daughter's car. You've never seen it before, but we've got that coming up. And we don't have any more body parts to go on right now. It's going to be a couple of weeks, maybe a month before we get back to this thing, most likely. The other thing we've got to do, quit trying to look taller than me.
I'm sitting under the hood.
Shut up. The other thing we got to do, we got to clean out the garage. We need to pull this in the garage so we have a good flat surface to measure against. We need to measure the 2 frame rails and make sure they're even. And then I've got to get the dimensions to figure out if we push this far enough over and all that. And we probably won't even bother with that until we have the new fender apron and the new radiator support. So for the time being, that's going to be it for the unnamed Vert. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Bye.